So, da sind wir mit der alljährlichen Tradition. Wir haben Marco Massarutto von Kunos Simulazioni am Start. Marco, welcome. Thanks for having an interview again. It's the third one, I think, in a row. And yeah, we've talked about AC1, we've talked about your development of ACC, and yeah,
It's over.
Yeah. How did you like the release of ACC? Maybe we could talk a little about that. Or did you see problems, things that weren't going so well, or were you completely satisfied with how things were developing with ACC?
We are never completely satisfied because there is also always a good margin for improvements. So if we go fully satisfied, we can change job and do something different. We faced a lot of challenges because for the first time we used a third-party engine that was Unreal. So we have been able to face the good and the bad of this choice. We don't regret the choice for Unreal because we learned a lot. We are not sure yet that we will continue to use it for the future because we don't like to develop only products but also technology, and we are always keen to get the latest possible experience in terms of engine, graphics, performance, VR, and so on. And we have seen that in some aspects the use of a real engine didn't fit particularly well some aspects, like for example the VR. It's not a secret that us for first are not totally satisfied about the VR because of the lack of performance and definition. We are working around it in order to improve the experience. We worked a lot in order to listen also what the community and the VR user told us or asked. We got a lot of very good opinion and suggestions about how to improve the overall experience. We did it and we are still doing it. But definitely, if you compare it with the experience you can get in AC1 in terms of performance and definition, is not on the same level. On the other side, without a real engine, we will never been able to create from scratch a completely new simulation in just 18 months. So we can definitely regret with this choice. And in terms of visuals and appearance, of course, the Unreal Engine and the Competizione are very, very spectacular, and people really love it. So we are happy about the final result. We learn a lot because being the first time we worked with Unreal, we need to also to deal with the game and software architectures, structure, and so on. And in some aspect, has been easy to work with it. In some other not. So what we learned will help us in order to do not make, let me say, the same mistakes, or just moving to a different approach in the way we will use it, in order to take advantage of all the good and try to work around the bad.
I've read in the forum that Stefano specifically said that you designated one developer for almost a year, completely exclusively to look at VR and triple screen support, for example, to improve that. Yet you read on different forums and on public sites like Reddit or something that people are disappointed and saying you are not. Don't care for VR users, for example, or triple screen users. No, the team Kunos Simulazioni. Does it hurt if you read something like that? I mean, the customer doesn't always know the inside of the business and what's going on in the dev team, but does it hurt when you read that people are disappointed because they feel like you haven't given as much as they think you could, or you should have?
It always hurt because we really do our possible best to make our users happy. Look what happened with the AC1. I mean, it has been released in 14 after 1 year in early access, and we continue to support the game not just with the DLCs but also with a huge amount of improvements and update until the end of 17. And just to mention the tire model, we changed it to improve it so many times, and each time it meant to come back to all the existing cars and tire data of each single car in order to update it. If we are not keen to do our best, we will not do that, because as you can imagine, the fans, the real sim racers always want to have the possible best tire model, the possible best aerodynamics, but the market in terms of business is not there. But despite of this, and despite also the fact that in 2017 Kunos Simulazioni has been acquired by 505 Games, and we didn't change our approach in the way how we try to do the best. So definitely it hurts when we read something like that. Sometimes can be frustrating, but on the other side we know that, let me say, on 10 people playing Assetto Corsa 1 or Competizione, if there is one guy that is not happy about the game, at 90% will go on the forums or on Facebook to complain. The other 9, very loud. The other 9 will stay there and just play the game because they like it, instead to go somewhere and say, "Hey, this game is great and I love it." Some of them do, but many others no. So we know that what we read in the forums actually is not the best picture of what people actually think. Definitely it hurts, because all we do is about passion, and so we always try to do the best. Sometimes we need to face with issues like the VR or triple screen support and so on that are not on us, because are some limitations due to the engine we chosen. I also read a comment time ago of a guy that said something like, "Why, when you recognize that Unreal doesn't support the triple screen, you gave up with a real engine and just create your engine like you did before?" Yeah, because it's something like that, easy. Well, that's, and for what? For the, let me say, 5%, if not less, of users, of overall users, that play Assetto Corsa with a triple screen support. I mean, we have 2.5 million users with Assetto Corsa 1, and I don't think that there are so many people with a triple screen that use it, actually. And by the way, even in Competizione, the game with a triple screen setup, it works. And we also added the perception feature that can as well as the FOV settings that can allow you to set up your rig at the best, even if you don't have a triple separate renderings. For these people, is not enough. We are continuing to work on it. You can imagine also this, that when you see and you read so many complaints by very few people, but they are very harsh sometimes, and they are very loud, like you said. Actually, they believe they are pushing you to support them, while actually it's becoming the opposite. Because why, since you are so harsh with us, I should make you happy, honestly. If there are other hundreds of thousands of people that will purchase our products anyway. We want to do that because we want to make our audience, our core audience, happy. So we never give up in terms of what we can do actually to game our games better. But sometimes we see that the community and the social and the internet in general is becoming more toxic in the last 2 years. We know that it's part of the job, it's part of the game. Personally, when I have enough about this, some kind of comments or things like that, even because I'm very busy, I just turn off the PC and I go on the phone to make my calls and so on, and I fix it in that way.
Yeah, there were several questions in our community regarding ACC, and one of them was, what about custom skin? There's a possibility to create custom skins by changing the color of an existing skin, but is it possible to create a whole new skin like in AC1 to put in the game like we are using in our leagues or something like that?
Being the game of the official game of the Blancpain GT series, we have some limitations in what we can allow gamers to do. We are working on panel in order to allow to customize the skins with some limitations. It's something that should arrive later this year in order to provide more interest about the way how you can compete in leagues and things like that. So you will not have the same level of freedom of AC1, where actually you can design completely from scratch your skin and just apply that. But you will be able to choose between some pre-configured schemes, so that you can find the best compromise between what you have in mind and what you can allow you to do in the game.
And what else is coming to ACC? Because the game, you can play the 2018 season of the Blancpain GT series, and we nearly finished 2019. So what's coming in the future?
At the end of October, more or less, we'll release the 2019 season update that will include the Zandvoort circuit and 7 new cars, including the Aston Martin, the new Porsche, and so on. And it will be a free update, just because, as you said, we are in 2019 and we are playing with the last season. But we needed more time to collect all the data, the information, the BOP values in order to make the season actually realistic. And we are working in order to finalize and testing everything. But with some luck, with the end of October, as soon as the season will stop, actually, the 19th season will be available as free additional content, as well as some new game features and improvement on the existing ones. We have also some plans for new content for next year, but I can go more deeply on detail yet. But no. But I can confirm you that it will not be the North Shore Life. Sadly, you know. But we'll have some content that we believe that can at least try to compensate the lack of the North Shore Life.
We've talked about it last year, and I think after the interview you said you were the first person to make a VLN or 24 hours Nordschleife simulation that is focused on that series. So I think if the head of Team Kunos is in that direction, the people can hope that maybe in the future, not for ACC perhaps, but the Nordschleife is still on your plan, and the events that are happening here are still. I mean, we are Germans, so it's the greatest track in the world to us, so that's why we are interested in that.
Well, the North Shore Life is also in my heart, so that is my very first choice in the moment when we don't have any licensing limitation due to the series we decided to do, for example, with the GT series, that is very popular. I mean, the VLN in Germany is much more popular maybe than the GT series, that anyway is more international and collect many more tracks. But in the future, definitely the North Shore Life is in our plans. Not for competition, but let's say in the future.
Okay, so thanks a lot for your time. Hope to see you next year, and good luck with the continued development of ACC.